Hey everybody, this is Halstead and Andrew McMillan with REH CPA. Today we want to talk about a new report that almost every small business owner has to file. It's called Beneficial Ownership Information. They have to do the filing with FinCEN. I've got Andrew McMillan here with me today. Andrew, what can you tell us about this new filing requirement?
So, like I said, it's pretty much everyone. It affects pretty much every small business owner. If you file any documentation with the North Carolina Secretary of State to create an entity like an Inc. or an LLC, you're going to be subject to this reporting requirement. So, basically, if you have an Inc. or an LLC, you need to make sure you file this report. And what it is it's basically a report with the FinCEN. It's an arm of the federal government that fights against money laundering and financial crimes. So it's basically filing a report with them, essentially giving information about your LLC or your Inc., like who owns it, who's a beneficial owner. It may not even be someone who has a percentage ownership, but who has control over that entity, who can make decisions. You need to make sure that you file this report.
For the majority of the people, it should be pretty simple.
It should be. There's not like numbers or tax information that are on these reports. It's basically like I said, who owns the company? What are their names? What's their contact information? What's their address? Phone numbers? You're probably going to have some level of driver's license or ID verification. That may be the hardest part to getting some of this on these reports. But for most people, it's going to be fairly simple to do because most people are. At least the clients that we work with, they're single owner businesses, one owner businesses.
Might have a partnership.
Maybe. So for most people, it's a very straightforward report. It's nothing to get too concerned about, but you definitely want to make sure that you file this report on time.
You really do, because the penalties for failure to file are pretty steep.
They are. So as far as due dates go, so if you had a business created before January 1 of 2024, an existing business before January 1 of 2024, you have to file this report by January 1 of 2025. Basically, before the end of the year, you need to make sure this report is filed with the FinCEN. If you created a new business during this year, during 2024, you have 90 days to file this report. Going forward into next year in 2025, if you create a business in 2025, you have 30 days to file this report. So if your business was created before this year, before 2024, make sure you do it before next year, before January 1 of 2025. If you created a business during this year, you have 90 days, but going forward into next year, you have 30 days to file this report. And keep in mind, it's a one-time only report for most people. Once you file it once, you're done unless something else changes with your ownership. Your address changes, your phone number changes. If anything changes that you put on that report in the future, you need to make sure that you file an updated report within 30 days. So it's not overly cumbersome, I wouldn't say, for most people. Make sure you do it this year, and you're probably never going to have to worry about it again.
Yeah, make sure you don't miss this deadline because, as I said before, what are the penalties on it?
Yeah, so you mentioned the penalty. So it's $500 per day for late filing or non-filing of this report. I mean, if there's some willful intent in there, it could be a $10,000 penalty for not filing and even up to 2 years in prison. So the penalties are very stiff. The government's serious about this. This isn't something that it doesn't look to be going away.
We were hoping it would go away. We were hoping that it would go through the courts and they would fight it and they'd say, okay, we're not going to do it now. But because it's very far reaching. It
is. I mean, it's one of those things that it puts some undue stress on like the small business owner. Is one more thing, more red tape for you to have to go through. Those people who are following the rules, doing things right, doing things legally. It's one more thing for you to have to do. But on the flip side of this, I guess, there is some benefit to the federal government to being able to get some of this information so that they can help fight.
It's all in an effort to combat money laundering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, really good information. If you have any questions we're actually going to send out an email to our client base with more details on it, actually giving some links on where to go file. But if you have any questions on this, feel free to give us a call and we'll help you out. Thanks.